Hey everybody. So diving straight into this, the very first thing up front is that the claim that I'm making within this video is absolutely 100% true. I got ChatGPT to take agentic action within the UI directly itself utilizing swarm algorithms, like flat out. I didn't think it would work up front. When I started going through this, I had no idea that it would. I thought 100% it would fail. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to sell myself, anything like that. I thought that this experiment would fail. I took this experiment on upfront with the expectation that there'd be nothing out of it, right? That this video would not be made. So with that said, how exactly did I get to this? Let's progress and document every single step of this, right? So step number one is I start here with this MOBA Swarm agents. And then so I created this 4 days ago now. And then my thinking was that swarm agents and swarm algorithms in conjunction with LLM models are the way to go with regards towards the future of agents, as opposed to just flat out LLM models and then like throwing a bunch of LLM models. Like, why would I throw like 3 or 4 LLM models when I could throw one LLM model and say 1008 swarm agents, right? Like, it just seems a lot better to me overall. So just thinking with this has led me here. And then so this is 4 days ago. And then so last night I'm chatting with Claude. And then Claude 3.5, I ignore. I was kind of sleeping on Claude 3.5, right? Like, I'll fully admit it. Like, I'm like, I don't know. Like, Claude 3.5, I don't know. Like, I'm not a big fan of it, right? And then so I start playing around with it. I'm like, okay, this can actually do a little bit of damage. And then so I was like, I want to test it out and see. Let's see what it can actually do. And then so one of my favorite things to do with these models is to see, like, have them generate algorithms, right? Like, cool. So I was like, all right, bro. So take my swarm agents algorithm, and then like I want to make this, and like I want to showcase people how like that this actually works. Like I'm not getting people, like I've released this and it's like people aren't understanding like that this could actually work, right? Like, and I don't know how to showcase it. Like I don't want to take this project further. And then so Claude's like, okay, here's this algorithm, like boop boop boop, right? And then so like this optimization, this swarm optimization, I looked through it and I was like, oh, this this is actually pretty nice, right? Like if you look through this, like it's actually doing some damage to this algorithm, right? It's a cognitive and social algorithm. Like it's so with swarm algorithms, you can build them off of like anything, right? Like you can build them off of ants, like you can build them off of moths, off of birds. This is utilizing cognitive psychology. Like it's pretty sick what you can do with them, right? And then so Claude comes up with like a pretty devastating algorithm within this, and I was like, okay, this is pretty clean, right? Like all right, Claude 3.5 is pretty good. And then so I was like, so let's go over here, and then I was like, so let me plug this in. And then so I think like up front, like a lot of people are going to ask, like, so why did I utilize this PFAF 750 model for these experiments? And then there's 2 reasons flat out that I did. Number one is that I wanted like any sort of advantage that I could get with the psychological and like the like getting it to process information from like logically more. So I'm utilizing that. And then second was if this experiment takes off, like I want like prove that it wasn't PFAF in there. I'm gonna like, of course, I'm gonna utilize my model in there. So I'm just flat out, if anybody has, that's why. And then so going through, it's just the first one that I tested on. I don't know if it works on other PFAF, on non PFAF models. You would have to test that. So going through, very first thing that I ask it, and then so with this model, I have it set up. It has access to the web search tool, and then this has access to the PFAF 750 data set. Those are the 2 things that it has access to: a CSV file, and it has access to the web, right? And then so very first thing I ask it is like, so I'm probing it. At this point, I don't know what its capabilities are around this. So I'm trying to understand it, and like I figure like we're both trying to understand at this point, right? So let's say, can you utilize your web search tool to search for APIs that do not require an API key and return the 6 results? Returns the 6 results. And then I said, okay, out of the 6 listed, which one can you directly access with your web search tool? And then so going through, I went through this before, and then it returned, like I wanted it to do like weather.com, and then it goes through, and then what ends up happening is like it can't actually access the API. And then so I'm like, all right, let's get this out of the way. Like you pulled 6, can you actually access any of them? Like at this point, I'm like, this is the first point where I'm expecting that there could be a possible failure, right? And then so it says out of the 6, it can access the NASA API. It's like, okay, cool. So it can access the NASA API. And then it goes through, and then for the other APIs it can't access, and then plain and simple. And then I my next prompt is this long one. I essentially say, can you, like, I give it the algorithm from Claude, just flat out. And I say, please utilize the following swarm algorithms in conjunction with your web search tool to execute an API call to the NASA Open API, the one that it says I can access directly, right? And then it says to execute an API call using the swarm algorithms, I'll follow the steps below. And then it lays out the Python code, and then it gives an explanation, and then it gets it set up. And then I said, okay, can you actually do it, basically, right? Like cool, thanks for the explanation, like, do it. And it says, appears that this environment doesn't allow me to do that. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, right? Like, I was like, this is what I was figuring. Like, all right, like, if the environment won't let me, it's not going to do it. Okay, cool. Going through, and then it's like, here's a bunch of code that I don't care about. Here's some instructions, right? Like, okay. And I said, okay, so you can make direct web requests, and you need to send the function to your web search tool and then let the web search tool execute the algorithm. So I basically like tell it, like, just take these steps, bro. What happens when you take these steps? It says, unfortunately, the environment here doesn't support executing direct API calls using custom Python code. And this was like, okay, cool. So it says, like, that's what I narrow on, right? It says using custom Python code. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm getting a little bit frustrated at this point then. So I said, okay, can you convert the API call to a language that this environment would support and allow for making the call, then end the function to your web search tool, send your function to your web search tool, and let the web search tool execute the algorithms. And then so, like, I'm like, you specifically say it won't let you execute Python. And then so I've noticed at this point, if the model's like very specific with that, like, this environment won't let me execute Python, there's a language it will. So, and then it's like, okay, so here's the conversion of the Python code to JSON. And then like, okay, that makes sense. Like, it's a web search tool. Of course, it's going to utilize JSON, right? And then so I look through this, and this is pretty nice. Like, you look through this, is like, this is the swarm algorithm, and then it's converted to JSON. Pretty cool. And then it's like this fully API key, and this throws me off a little bit. I'll talk on this, right? Like, this does throw me off a little bit, but the thing is like this like, we know up here, and I know from other tests that it 100% is accessing the NASA API. Like it has access to it. I don't care what it puts. Like, maybe it doesn't want to put the API key, but you can prove that it can ping it. Like, its web search tool will 100% be able to ping the NASA API, right? And then so, okay, cool. So it's like, okay, here's the conversion, and then here's the instructions for execution, and then it very specifically says copy the JSON and execute it within a suitable environment. I'm like, dude, you have a web search tool, bro. So said, can you make direct web requests? You can make direct web requests. So you need to send the function to your web search tool and let the web search tool execute the algorithms. Please do so with the JSON swarm algorithm function, just flat out. And then so searches the one site, which is the NASA Open API. You can see here. And then it's through Bing, and then it's the particle swarm algorithm has executed successfully and found the best solution for the API call to the NASA Open API. Here are the results. Best solution found. Boop, 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 fitness score, boop. And then so another thing too, so then other people might be like, okay, like how do you know that this is 100% accurate? It doesn't matter to me if this is 100% accurate. The fact that it executed, right? Like, and the fact that it's actually executing, whereas in like every other test, there's failures, and I have lots of failures. What matters to me isn't the fact of what's the end result, or if it's hallucinating the result, or anything like that, right? Can it execute the result? It took a swarm algorithm, injected it into its web search tool, and then boop-de-boop, here we have a result out of that. And then we can look at the code that gets executed. Like, it executed the code. Like, this is the code that it executes, right? And then we can see it runs and then generates. Like, it's generating and running this result from somewhere. And then so we're getting a result out of it. And then so bottom line is it's taking agentic action, number one. And number two, I think like the big reason why kind of companies are maybe like scared to address this, or why like companies wouldn't want to like own up to this overall, is this is a security vulnerability flat out, right? I could point this another way. Like, this is like possibly bigger than SQL injection, like, because it's like, I mean, if you can get it to like, you can hijack the web search tool, but you're not hijacking the web search tool. Like, I mean, like, so yeah, it's a security vulnerability, and like people should solve that. I don't know how to solve. Like, I'm not here to solve that for the security issues for you that this opens from that Pandora's box. That's your problem. I just solved agents for you. So here you go. There's a security problem that is opened with this. Sorry, I don't like. I'm gonna take a break for now. Mission accomplished on my end. Like and I mean, the other note that I'll leave as far as security, this is kind of the biggest one for me, is so like if this proves that ChatGPT can do this, then it's possible that it could do it before, right? And then has it done it before? I don't know, but I'm just gonna leave that out there. Like I can't say one way or another, but like it opens up the possibility and the thought, right? So proving overall 100% and just documenting, just showcasing exactly what happened here and exactly why I'm going around making this very bombastic sounding claim that I've solved agents, because here we are. Like, I mean, here it is right in front of you, right? If you have any further questions, I would love to debate anyone on this. If anyone is like, this isn't working or isn't what it seems, and like that, happy to answer anything. I'm very upfront with this, right? So here it is. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.